and welcome to Headlines Today with Karan Thapar. The Prime Minister's office has once again overruled a suggestion from the Home Ministry and appointed R.N. Ravi, the chairman of the Joint Intelligence Committee, as the official interlocutor for the Naga peace talks. Sources say Home Minister Rajnath Singh had in fact recommended someone else. He preferred Ajit, who retired as the chairman of the Joint Intelligence Panel in July. Here's the full story. Hello and welcome to Headlines Today with Karan Thapar. The Prime Minister's office has once again overruled a suggestion from the Home Ministry and appointed R.N. Ravi, the chairman of the Joint Intelligence Committee, as the official interlocutor for the Naga peace talks. Sources say Home Minister Singh had in fact recommended someone else. He preferred Ajit, who retired as the chairman of the Joint Intelligence Panel in July. Here's the full story.
Rajnath Singh, the number 2 in Modi cabinet, and he has been overruled by his boss yet again. This time it was Rajnath's recommendation for appointment of interlocutor for Naga talks that was trashed. While the MHA had recommended the name of former Chief of Joint Intelligence Committee Ajit, the PMO appointed current JIC Chief R.N. Ravi as the interlocutor. The government has cited R.N. Ravi's expertise in affairs of the Northeast. Sources say Ajit, who was the only recommendation from the Home Ministry, was ignored as he is considered too close to the Home Minister. This is not the first instance of Rajnath being reduced to a rubber stamp Home Minister. Earlier too, the PMO had voted the appointment of IPS officer Alok Singh as the private secretary to Rajnath Singh on the ground that he had served as private secretary to Salman Khurshid. Also, the HM's role in appointment of top bureaucrats has already been reduced to a rubber stamp. In the past few days, we have seen mixed signals on the Rajnath-Modi equation. While the Home Minister has been clearly anointed the number 2, and the PM came out strongly in his defense during the rumour-mongering episode, the other side of the story is that Rajnath may have been reduced to a figurehead in his own ministry. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
2 ministers in the Modi government have now come out virtually endorsing what the RSS top brass has been saying for a long while now, that all Indians are Hindus. It began with Najma Heptullah, who in an interview courted controversy with her alleged Hindu remark. And even as she then toned it down, another minister, Kalraj Mishra, has come out towing the RSS line again. So is it necessary to be a Hindu to live in Hindustan?
The agenda is in your face. So far it was the RSS and the BJP. Now the Hindu identity push comes from within Modi Sarkar. It started with a reported statement of the only Muslim minister in Modi government. Najma Heptullah was quoted to have linked Hindu to the geographical identity of all Indians. And then another minister followed.
इंग्लिश लोगों का इंग्लैंड है, अमेरिकन लोगों का अमेरिका है, हिंदुस्तान किसका है? हिंदुस्तानी लोग.
So far, it was all dismissed as fringe nuisance. But now those within his team have revealed their stripes. Will they be wrapped, or will the Modi government give some silent encouragement? Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Now, boosting trade and the belief that he wants to contain China are likely to be at the top of the Prime Minister's mind as he leaves for a 5-day visit to Japan tomorrow. Mr. Modi seeks to capitalize on his personal chemistry with his Japanese counterpart, Shinzo Abe, and that may well be what clinches the relationship between them. Remember, Mr. Modi was the 3rd person whom Mr. Abe has followed on Twitter. The first 2 were his wife and a Japanese politician.
For his first major bilateral visit, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is looking east. The first 5-day visit to Japan is being touted as a historic one. Prime Minister Modi will first meet host Prime Minister Shinzo Abe privately in the historic city of Kyoto before officially holding talks in Tokyo. And boosting trade between the 2 countries is on top of the agenda. Modi and his counterpart can reach an agreement to double Japanese FDI in India over the next 5 years. Modi will try to convince Japan to set up manufacturing units here to fulfill his dream of India being a manufacturing hub. One of the highlights will be the talks of buying the US-2 Shinmeva amphibious planes for the Indian Navy. Another big highlight of the Modi trip could be an agreement on bullet trains.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 5-day visit to Japan has been described as extremely significant from social, economic and strategic points of view. India hopes to gain from Japan's experience and build smart cities like this and Kyoto, maintain the rich cultural heritage and yet be modern 21st century cities. That's not all. India hopes Japan will invest in India, have bullet trains, and of course, India also hopes, both Japan and India hope to counter China's growing military might in this region.
The Prime Minister is travelling with a power-packed delegation of businessmen and industrialists. Big names like Mukesh Ambani, Gautam Adani, Azim Premji, Chanda Kochar and Kiran Mazumdar-Shaw are part of the PM's delegation. Narendra Modi has been building up to his Japan visit on Twitter. He tweeted in Japanese earlier this week, to which Shinzo Abe quickly responded saying he was keenly looking forward to welcoming the Indian Prime Minister.
There is a special Japanese tea ceremony in the honor of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and in the Japanese culture, we are told it is extremely significant. In India, it is being described as Chai Pe Charcha between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. Overall, an extremely significant visit. Also strategically, can India and Japan cobble an alliance to take on the growing might of China in this region, a counterbalance to China's growing muscle display in this entire region? Will India and Japan be the pivot for other Asian countries? With cameraman Kirpal Singh, Gaurav Sawant in Tokyo for Headlines Today.
He's a director who's known equally for his films as well as for the controversies he quite clearly loves to court. Ram Gopal Varma turned a Ganpati troll on the first day of Ganesh Utsav today, upsetting devotees on Twitter as well as some of those off it. While Varma has apologized, many question if it was a premeditated publicity stunt.
Ram Gopal Varma turned a Ganpati troll on Ganesh Chaturthi, putting up a series of very offensive tweets about Lord Ganesha. Upsetting devotees on Twitter and off it. Varma tweeted that Lord Ganesh could not save his own head from being severed, so how likely was it that he could save others? Hurling another offensive tweet, he said, "Happy Ganpati to morons." In a series of tweets, Varma asked what were the devotees celebrating, the day Lord Ganesha was born or the day Lord Shiva cut off his head. He also challenged devotees of Lord Ganesha to give a list of obstacles their Lord had helped them overcome. Later, Varma even tried to justify his anti-Ganpati offensive, saying he was both ignorant and innocent about Lord Ganesha's powers. While Varma has apologized, was his anti-Ganesha offensive just a way of gaining publicity? Was he hoping for a turn in his fortunes by insulting Ganesha, who is considered as a good luck deity by many? Bureau Report, Headlines Today.